3, 4.
Let me take a look at what do you got. I'm moving to the speculation station a lot. Speculation station.
Hello everyone and welcome to Speculation Station,
Hello.
where we speculate on objects and try and wonder about what might relate to them, what they might be.
Without any expert knowledge.
Yeah, we know nothing.
I mean, about anything, pretty much.
Right, and on that note, I am this week's interrogator, invigilator, instigator, moderator.
Person of power.
Yes, the guy who tells the other person what to say and do, but he won't do what I say and do. And this guy?
I'm the speculator. I'm Will, and he's...
Tom.
Pretty easy.
Yeah, simple. I often forget my name. Okay, so, are you ready to close your eyes?
I'll close my eyes and I'll wait for the object.
The object?
Do you want to put it in my hands and I'll guess at this one?
Yeah, that might be interesting.
I'm waiting. He's put it in very gently. Okay. So it's a small, round object. Seems to be about a centimetre thick.
Yes.
It's about the size of a large coin, I'd imagine. With a
Very large coin.
Well, sure, but some countries have very large coins.
Name one.
Hong Kong had massive, almost British 50p style coins.
Good.
I swallowed one as a child because I lived in Hong Kong. It has this metal toggle at the top.
Metal toggle, yeah.
It turns around.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's a navigational device. It feels like a compass almost.
Ooh, open our eyes.
Oh, okay. Well, I can't tell what it is from the front, but I can open a clasp. It has a clasping front. Oh, it is a compass!
You were correct.
High five!
Okay.
Yeah, the first guessed object.
Yeah, that was a very loud clap.
Well, it should be. Good. People should be afraid of us. Does it work?
To some extent.
To some extent. Or like most compasses. Is compasses the plural of compass, or is it compass?
So it might have been magnetised at some point and then demagnetised. Leave it open and lay it on the table, please.
Oh, sorry, master.
That's right. Okay.
Let's speculate.
It's a wild card!
Oh.
Ah!
Wild card.
Okay, so it's a perspective, wild card perspective. Answer the next question as a Victorian adventurer.
Oh, Victorian adventurer.
Okay.
Oh, good.
Does this endanger children?
Absolutely not. Every child should have a compass. They should go into the wild jungles of Borneo and spend about 10 years there until coming back and announcing their findings to the Queen of England herself.
Yes, with a fine tan, and they've discovered a new continent and all sorts of things.
Well, the good thing about discovering a new continent, especially if you're British, a part of the British Empire, is it doesn't matter if someone discovered it first. You just say that you've discovered it.
Yeah, and it works.
And blaff your way into the history books.
Yeah.
Yes. But does it endanger children? No. If anything, it makes them safer. What's the
Yes.
verb? What's the opposite verb of endanger? What's the antonym?
Insafen.
Insafen. I think it would be protect.
No. That's an absurd word.
This would ensafen children,
Now.
as they would be able to find their way through
Yeah, but they could guide themselves into a dangerous location.
into a dangerous location. Sure, but they'd be able to guide themselves out of it just as quickly.
Yeah, this is true. Would you take a child orienteering with said compass?
Well, I did do orienteering as a kid with school. Did you do that?
Indeed, yes.
And it was half fun and half incredibly boring.
Well, I think the worst part is you usually had to do it with a partner, and you were assigned a partner when I did it.
Well, I did it in a group, about 4 or 5 of us
Oh, wow.
kids, so that was quite fun, because we just went on our own. Do you want to tell people what orienteering is, for those that don't know?
So for those who don't know what orienteering is, it's like sort of exploring, but very structured, effectively.
It's almost, and it can be a sport, can't it?
Yeah, it
orienteering?
is a sport, and people take it very seriously.
Finding your way between
There's
certain
local
points.
orienteering, in fact, and they're called control points.
Yes.
And you have the control description usually, and the control description is, if you're very professional, it's loads of little squiggly lines. And
Yes, there's lots of
little
semiotics.
code and picture that you have to interpret.
Yeah.
Is it a re-entrant? Is it a hill? Is it a whatever?
Yes.
And you sort of use that to sort of guide you where you are, and there's usually measurements of how far you go. But if it's a normal person's orienteering, it just has a description, a little description of where you are and how far to go.
And you have a map.
Yeah, usually not all orienteering actually allows maps.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, sometimes.
I did it. I was a kid.
There are some ways that.
Okay, as a kid, we always had maps.
But yeah, it's great fun. In fact, there are many areas all over the world that have. So sometimes it's set up just for the day, but there are some parts of the world, like in the park nearby, there are orienteering points all over it. So you can just go and you can find the map for the orienteering and decide what route you want to do and orienteer yourself to find those different points.
That's fun.
So, and there are loads of places all over the world that you can try that. It's great fun.
Casual orienteering.
Casual
like
orienteering.
it, love it.
Or you can join your local orienteering club. Okay. I am also advertising for the local orienteering club, apparently.
I mean, they could do with it.
Yeah. Okay. Has this ever been used in a film?
a billion times.
Okay.
I immediately think of, although I don't know if the object itself appeared in it, but Philip Pullman's books, which later became a film, The Golden Compass,
Of course.
obviously uses the object itself.
But I hasten to add, it is not a compass. And that is one of the...
Oh, it's not actually a compass in the story.
No, and I'll admit I only read the first book and I haven't watched any of the movies myself.
Sure.
Because they look really bad.
I think there's only one, isn't there?
Oh, did it flop?
They tanked a little bit. So
Okay, yeah, but the whole it was some kind of magical machine that was like a compass but was not. It was sort of like an astrolabe sextant thing. But I don't know. But it wasn't a compass, and that was what annoyed most of the people who loved the book.
Quick Philip Pullman fact about his writing, because you and I are both, we both enjoy writing, fiction writing, let's say. Tell me, what are the two types of writers? In terms of how you...
Oh, so you've got the two types. The one type is the planner, the organised writer.
Which is normally called the architect or the gardener?
Yeah, that's the Game of Thrones guy, George R.R. Martin.
Oh,
that's
yes.
what he calls it.
Yes, and
That's
then the other
his-
one is more the discovery writer.
Discovery writer or gardener or organic writer, I've heard. And the horrible term pantser.
Oh, like doing it by the seat of your pants?
Yes.
Right, that is quite awful.
It is a horrible term.
So Philip Pullman famously is a discovery writer, and the Golden Compass books were all written by him just going, okay, what next, what next, what next?
Yeah, and obviously there's another massively popular movie that's maybe a little controversial these days. A very famous actor who kind of went downhill a little bit.
Are we talking about Pirates?
Yes.
That's why that was the only other movie series I could think of with a
That's
compass.
really big, yeah.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Where he's like...
Is it in the first one, or
So
is it...
all of them, he's like got a compass.
And
It's
it
really
leads you
important
to whichever you desire the
it's
most.
his compass, Captain Jack.
Yeah, so it's not really
Spanish
a
compass.
traditional compass, but
Yeah,
we'll
but again, it's a
accept.
magical compass. But of course, there's your moral compass.
Oh, well done, sir.
So how is your moral compass?
Probably about as effective as this. Not always pointing to the right place.
Yes, well, we can tell that from the way you look.
Oh.
You have an evil about
Have
you.
you judged my book by its cover?
Yeah, always.
Which is, of course, what you're supposed to do with a book cover. You're supposed to judge it by the cover.
Well, yes, that's the whole purpose of a book cover.
I find the expression a little bit, but I get it.
Yeah.
Do you have another deck card question?
I do, and I'm sitting here waiting for you to
shut
up.
Okay, go.
Okay, so why does this exist?
Well, that's pretty obvious, isn't
So
it?
explain then.
Well, in the days before computer navigation... Oh, he's got real close to me. He's leaned in real close to me for this answer, everyone.
I'm really intrigued to find out what your answer is going to be.
Okay, before computational navigation, the compass I would imagine would have been the be-all and end-all, most high-tech piece of navigational equipment that ever
Ooh,
existed.
I mean, here's another point. It's a really crucial piece of... What's the other part that's absolutely necessary for maritime
the
navigation?
sextant or astrolabe?
Even more important, what's the most difficult thing? So you can use all those things to find the longitude. Is it the latitude?
Yes.
But what about the longitude? How do you get the longitude?
Stars.
Stars is the traditional
sun.
way. What's the modern way? It's a really tricky way, and they found it very difficult. On land, you could use what to discuss it?
The horizon? I have no idea, I'm afraid.
Well, as you find the longitude, it's the world goes round, doesn't it?
Oh, the rotation of the Earth?
Rotation of the Earth, so night and day. You know about time zones.
Oh, so the rising and setting of the sun?
How do you measure time zones? With a
Watch.
watch.
Oh!
So the water clock, was the most important change in maritime
The
navigation.
water clock? Not an hourglass or something?
No, hourglasses were terrible. No,
Oh, right, 'cause they're very
not
inaccurate.
very accurate. But it was water clocks. They were massive devices that sort of had to account for the sway of the sea and stuff like that. So yeah, and there was also like the original. Do you remember the original compass?
Well, I wasn't alive back then.
Well, then
quite young.
Very young, apparently.
I know I have grey hair, but I'm quite young.
So you remember the original compass? Then?
I do!
So it's like
No.
you can make a compass by effectively, and correct me if I'm wrong, listeners.
Audience.
Audience in general. You put a nail, effectively, you magnetise a nail and just float it in water.
Oh, I have seen that when you
Yeah.
mention it. Okay.
But there might be some more to it that I'm not aware of,
Let's-
so please correct me if
Let's
that's not the case.
quickly talk about the Antikythera Mechanism.
Oh, please do.
Do you know what that is?
I don't. Surprise me.
You probably will once I tell you. You might not remember what it's called. The Antikythera Mechanism was a device found buried in mud, I believe, in the Mediterranean. I think it was supposed to have been lost as part of a Roman fleet that went down in a storm or a battle, whatever it might have been. The Antikythera Mechanism originated in ancient Greece, and it was probably the very first computer in the world. It
Oh,
computed
that thing, yeah.
astronavigation and astrological
It's also,
movements.
lots of people think that thing's related to Atlantis and various
Yes.
other stuff like that because it was found underwater.
That's true.
Yeah,
I
in
should
the
correct
America.
myself. It's not astrological. It's astronomical.
Yes.
But also, it's
back in the
considered-
day, they're the same thing. Yeah.
It was. It is still considered to be incredibly far ahead of its time. You know, real computer that computed astronomical events. So it's interesting you mention navigation, especially at sea, because all these things are amazing advances.
Yes, yeah. I mean, where would we be today without that? You know, now we have GPS. You know, you can just go, oh, I can Google Map my way there. Okay, but now,
Which I do.
Yes, exactly. We all do. You know, even when we're walking. I know, right?
Well, not all the time. I mean,
If you're finding a new place,
that's true. In our car, we, you know how in the old naval days they used to measure time against different devices. Well, we measure our GPSs against each other. So we have an inbuilt one in the car, which is generally crap, but it's easy. But it's just there.
Yeah.
We have an actual separate sat nav that we put up on the screen, and also Google Maps, and then we just measure them against each other. We kind of triangulate which one's actually working best. Generally, it's Google, unsurprisingly.
Well, no, yes, because you know they control the world.
They do.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. Thank you, Google.
Thanks, Google.
Yeah.
Please don't take away our podcast.
Okay, moving on.
Okay.
Okay, where would you store this?
Oh, well, since we're both wearing waistcoats, I feel like you don't actually have one in it. Do you?
I've
Yeah,
got
we've
the
both got little
waistcoat
tiny
pocket,
pockets.
Little tiny.
One of mine is sewed up. I've obviously
Yeah, mine
opened this one.
are sewn up.
I hate that. Jackets, waistcoats. Why would you sew it up?
I know it's bizarre, but a lot of it's because it's more of a tailor's issue.
Oh, no, that's it.
And you can just cut them out.
Yeah, that's right. I have heard of that. So it is
You
less
just
cheaper. So
unpick them.
in the pocket of my waistcoat, so I'm a gentleman.
Would you have a chain attaching it
Yes,
to your
like
your
a pocket
button?
watch.
Yeah, like just like a pocket watch.
I'd also keep it in a lovely ornate carved wooden box. It feels right.
Right,
Perhaps
right.
in a velvet padded scenario.
See, another way of looking at it is, in a leather pouch attached to your belt.
Oh, good.
You know, like
Good leather pouch.
like those little money bags they had in the
Sure.
not Victorian,
Edwardian.
Elizabethan. I'm thinking.
Okay, previous areas.
Yeah, previous areas. These are interesting words you're using.
We must skip over my misnomers, please.
And moving swiftly on. Yes. Your favourite.
Yes.
Shall we make a little song about this?
Oh, this has come up again. Well, I think we can only ever answer yes.
Yeah. Okay.
You in a previous episode, you started the song, so I feel like it's on me
I
to
believe
start
it's
this
down
song.
to you. Yes.
Okay. Oh, little compass, you guide us greatly. Where do I go? Compass shows me. Do I go north, east, south, west, south, southwest, north, north, east?
longitude, latitude.
This is a compass. It is great for you and me.
That was more or less a tune.
It was a little song. No one can say it wasn't a little song.
You know,
Good or
we
bad.
achieved the goal. Yes, quality. I rate that at a 4 out of X.
4 out of X, where X is 7.
Well, for X is 7, which is above average. Well done, us.
Oh, who wrote
Moving
these
on.
cards? Jeez,
Okay,
oh.
will it still exist in 100 years?
Oh, that's great. Yes,
Okay, explain.
because it's such a beautiful object and it's so simple. I think, especially if you think
It's
about
low tech. Yeah,
it is low tech. And speaking of that, it's not such a big deal here in the UK or Europe, but in America, there are people known as preppers. You're familiar with preppers?
Yes, they exist in the UK. I hasten to
but
add.
not on as great a
Yes.
scope
No, of
as
course
America. And I think for a lot of people, even beyond the perhaps objective paranoia of prepping, there's something to be said for having something, as you say, so low tech
Yeah.
that other than a massive shift in our magnetic poles, which apparently does happen over a long period of time, nothing will stop this working generally.
Yeah, I think. Well, yes. If you put a magnet next to it, it's fucked.
Well, all right,
but,
Mr.
yeah,
Magnet.
But what I will say is, I call myself like a 30% Doomsday prepper. I've got a little bit of that in me. You know, I like to. You know, I don't just buy one bottle of squash. I buy 4. I like to be prepared. I like to have backup stocks.
Do you say you prepare more physically or do you prepare mentally as well? What would I do if X, Y, Z?
I used to do that a lot more. These days, it's actually a lot more. I like to have a good stock of food and.
Do you have a go bag?
No, okay, but I
Do you
previously
want-
I do want to go
you want to
back,
go
of
back?
course, yes. I got survival kits in various parts of the
Okay.
house, so you know.
Well, you and I have spent much time speaking to people in Japan
Mm-hmm.
through our job of teaching the Japanese people English, and they legitimately have disaster preparedness
Yeah,
kits, survival kits, because of their numerous natural
Well,
disasters.
yeah, but earthquakes, typhoons,
Flooding,
volcanoes, like literally all of them.
almost everything they get.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
They have these kits at work, at home, and they're very almost blasé about it because it's almost normal for them.
To them it's normal. It's annoying. It's basically an annoyance. It's like us having a rainy day. Like it's a bit like, okay, and it's amazing how much they say.
You're right, because when it happens and I ask them, how has that affected you? They normally say, well, my train home from work was late.
Yeah,
And that's amazing. That's their attitude.
Yeah, and they're like, and obviously they get a note when their train's late.
That's right.
They do. The train company prints out a note.
Is that for their employer?
It's for their employer, yeah.
To say it's okay. There was an
There was
earthquake.
actually a late train. Yeah.
Oh well, you've got the earthquake note, so it's okay.
Yeah.
You're okay.
You're backed up by the earthquake.
Oh,
yeah.
they're very
well,
official.
that's the thing. But we are very lucky in the UK in terms of natural disasters. Of
We
course,
basically have flooding.
flooding and occasional hurricanes.
I found this out years ago as a kid. We have more, I believe, tornadoes than the Americans, but ours are tiny.
So tiny.
And they generally happen off the coast.
And interesting. We have had earthquakes here, but there's more like. Once we had an earthquake when I was with my wife in our little flat. Many years ago when we were sort of first properly getting together.
And is this in the north of the UK?
North of the UK,
Yeah.
North of England specifically. And there was I woke up in the middle of the night to a shaking, and I just thought, are the neighbours having really loud sex? And so I just assumed until a couple of days later, it was on the news that there was a little earthquake.
Wow, so basically...
I just thought they were having a loud bang
The
upstairs.
whole building was shaking, and your first thought was, well, it must be the neighbours.
I woke up and I didn't notice that much. I just heard a... I was like, oh, are they moving a bed or... having some really, exciting sex?
I suppose, for us Britishers, earthquakes
It's
are...
just not something you consider.
Exactly. And I've never felt one. I know there have been a few little ones in recent years, but I've never felt one.
It's very rare.
Granted, I spent most of the last 7
and
years
of course,
outside
you guys
the UK.
who do have earthquakes, please, let us know what it's actually like.
That's true.
Yeah.
Because as far as we know, obviously America does get earthquakes and Japan gets
Loads.
earthquakes. If you're from any other countries or you know of any other countries that have these earthquakes...
If you've ever experienced an
let us know.
earthquake, yeah, exactly.
That's a good question. Have you ever experienced an earthquake? And if not, can you speculate what it would be like?
Yeah,
You're
right.
supposed to get into a door frame, aren't you, though, by the way?
Yes.
Okay, good. I want our listeners to gain something from this.
Now, how do you feel about this?
Is that the next question?
Yes.
How do I feel about
How
this?
do you feel about this?
I feel quite pleasant.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice to see a compass again. You don't see them so often, and often when you do see them, especially at Christmas, when you crack open a Christmas cracker,
You hope
sometimes
to get a compass.
the tiny gift is a little crappy plastic compass that invariably never works.
Oh yeah, like those little navigation ones that you can put on a map. You sometimes.
Oh, that's
get,
it. Move it around the map.
and it
yes.
sort of locks onto the grid lines.
That's it. Of course, it wouldn't work like that for a crappy one in a tracker. So it's quite nice to see one that's more well machined than this. It has a lovely brass casing,
Yeah, it's a
and
nice little thing.
the inlay of the actual.
And I have used it in sort of walking situations.
Okay, that's good to
Before
know.
it got a bit fucked.
It does say. I'm looking at the inlay, and other than the compass points, it has two words. It has above the south point. It has Hamza, Hamza. I don't know if that's the manufacturer.
Possibly.
On the top one, north, it says York. So, do you know if this is a British-made compass, perhaps?
I suggest it will be. In terms of where I got it, I got it in my charity shop, Enjoyments.
What's a charity shop for foreign
Yes,
listeners?
a charity shop is essentially a second-hand store. They come in all sizes, from very small to very large, and they're run by a specific charity. So it could be British Heart Foundation, it could be Children in Need, the most famous one's Oxfam. They're everywhere.
How do they get their goods?
And basically, people donate.
Yep, just donate their stuff.
They send stuff in. In fact, when I moved house, I dumped a load of stuff, furniture, clothing, sort of old books, stuff we didn't need.
Mm-hmm.
You give that to a charity shop. It's a big deal here, but you can find amazing things in them. I really like going to them. I think
You can get great clothes from them, actually.
Yeah.
Since we're both English teachers, I'm going to test you on your vocabulary.
Oh gosh.
What would the Americans call a charity shop? They have
Thrift
two.
store.
Yes, and what else? One other applicable one beginning with G.
G.
Yeah.
No idea.
Goodwill.
Goodwill. No, never heard of a Goodwill.
Yeah, I don't know if
store.
that's a specific franchise or chain of stores,
Right.
type of store, but I've often heard that I got it from.
So it
Goodwill.
might be somewhat like that, except they're all international charities, like
That's true.
Like
Save the
Bernardo's,
Children, Oxfam, yes.
all of these big ones. Anyway, moving swiftly on.
Another question from the deck. Okay.
Okay, have you read about this?
That's a good question. I don't think
I have.
Literally read about compasses. No, I don't think I have.
Because when I read about the history of maps, that's why I sort of before brought up the idea of the water clock and how we actually measure and make maps, which is quite complicated. But
Well, you're quite a map person, aren't you?
I had a fetish for maps when I was a child, and I still do.
What do we call someone who makes maps? I remember years ago saying cartographer, and you said that's not quite right. Is that correct? A cartographer doesn't really make a map as much as maybe process maps.
Well, no, a cartographer draws maps, designs maps, and gets the lines, right. But I don't want to say because I actually don't remember. But the
Maybe
person who actually produces the maps is probably just called a map maker.
I was going to say maybe it's as simple as map maker.
Yeah, but I don't want to say what's the right answer there because I don't know, because maybe I said something and I might have been making it up at the time or mistaken. So.
In terms of how I feel about this, by the way, the action of the clasp is very satisfying. Anything that has that metal clasp.
And the fact it's just brass.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And I love to fiddle with stuff, so I'll happily sit there and clasp it up and on.
And yes, sort of a good closer, I think.
Okay, the last question.
Yeah, why is it this shape?
Oh, now that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Because it could be any shape, really, feasibly. But I'd imagine for the efficiency of a needle pointing around a set of points, circle is best, right?
Yeah,
like our clocks.
The Earth is a circle stretched into the third dimension.
And really, now I think about it, if a watch or a clock face is a round depiction of time, surely this is a compass is a round depiction. In fact, it makes
more sense.
It is a round depiction of space, and it makes more sense because it is spatial.
No, but when you think about it, why is a clock round? The Earth spins round.
Yes.
On one axis, the clock just copies that same motion.
And the sun kind of moves round as we see it.
The compass works in the same manner.
Yeah, let's say that.
Made that up. Okay.
Well, we are speculating after all.
Okay.
I thought you said that was the last question.
Yeah,
it's going again. You love
one.
doing this. You're so cheeky.
And just a final little cheeker.
Okay.
Little cheeker.
Cheeker.
A little cheeker. That's a made-up word. It's not.
We've just made a new noun. Little cheeker.
Little cheeker.
You've got to say it like that.
Anyway, it's a bit
all
cheeky.
right, what's your last little cheeker?
So, what should you do with it?
What should I do with it? I feel like stealing it from you, to be honest. This specific one, right?
Yeah, why?
Because I don't have one.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah?
There's some genuine sadness in your voice there.
You know Christmas is coming up.
Oh, gosh.
You could buy me one.
You mean you could have that one?
No, because then you wouldn't have bought it for me and I know you'd just given it to me.
How about like would you accept one for less than £10,000?
Yes, but no less than 1,000. I want you to have to spend, your life savings on it.
But what would you do with it if I bought you one for Christmas?
Oh, I'd probably put it somewhere and forget about it, to be honest. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Sorry.
What would you do with it, guys? Okay, would you forget about it? Okay.
Do you have compasses?
Yeah, maybe you have a better compass than my cheap lump of brass here. Okay. Maybe you use compasses on a daily basis. Maybe you actually know stuff about compasses that we don't.
I'm sorry, you did just say on a daily basis.
Did I?
Which sounds quite fun.
Daily babysis.
Hey, daily babysis.
Hey, daily babysis.
Okay, misogyny approaching.
Wonderful. Anyway, it's been wonderful chatting about compasses. Okay, or compassi.
Compassodes.
Compassodes. Okay.
Well, we have to know the derivative. Is it Latin? Is it Greek or is it different?
Yeah.
Probably, I don't think it's Latin or Greek. Maybe. Compass.
We're just going to go compass and any compassi.
We could ask my wife, but she thought ladder was plural.
So let's just not do that. Okay.
We will see you on the next Speculation Station podcast.
As always, a pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah, take care, and yes, happy navigating.
And keep speculating. That's
care.
a catchphrase.
All right, cheers.
Cheers, bye everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Speculation Station.